Hey, you guys. It's good to see everybody today. Awesome. You know, I tell you, we are in a moment of opportunity. We are in a progressive moment. You know, the right wing has had a chance to say to the American people that if we dig up a whole lot of stuff up out of the ground and burn it, then we'll be able to fuel our economy. And anybody who says that we should live both prosperously and in harmony with our economy, they're just wrong. And the American people have listened to that message. And the American people have said, you know, wait a minute. We got floods we can't control. We got water pipes busting. We got bridges falling. We got a lot of unemployment. And somehow, all of that stuff that you got piled up, that big pile of money you got piled up there, it ain't trickling down on me. Might be tinkling down on me, but it's not trickling down on me. And so people have seen what they have to offer, and they have come to the conclusion that we need another way forward. And now North Carolina over the weekend, they had 100,000 people come out for this Moral Mondays movement. Y'all know about this thing? This is awesome. It's growing in Georgia. Also over this weekend, the Progressive Caucus had a clutch. And we had folks talking to us about immigration, that this movement is sweeping this country. We have folks talking about infrastructure development, small business people, progressive small business people who want to not only put folks to work, but to pay them fair and to do it in a way that is in harmony and enhancing to our environment. So there is a movement. And when you have a moment of opportunity, you got to move in and seize that moment. And that's what we got to fix our attention on right now. It's kind of like a tree bearing fruit, and the fruit's getting bigger, and it's getting heavier, and it's starting to weigh down the branches. Now you got to pick that fruit, because if you don't, it's going to fall on the ground and do what? Rot. Now what does that mean? That means all that progressive energy, people get annoyed, they feel politics has no answers for them, they get frustrated, they start turning on each other. Look, the progressive folks in this country who are absolutely committed, which is you, because that's why you're here, we got to pick that fruit, you guys. Do you agree with that? What we need is very simple. Very simple. What we need in this country is a reliable path to economic prosperity that is consistent with the world that we live in a world of finite resources. That's pretty much it. That's what we're driving for. A reliable path to economic prosperity consistent with the world we live in a world of finite resources. And that's what we're fighting for, and that's what we're driving to. Now, I want to talk about a specialized project that I've been working on. Is that all right with you guys? It's something that's been on my mind quite a bit because, as Tip O'Neill famously said, all politics is local. So let's talk local. On the city and municipal level for a moment. I believe that there's already a zero-waste city moving across America. This movement, the zero-waste city movement, has the potential to hire a lot of people, have us live more responsibly with the waste that we produce, use some of that waste, like the food waste, to put back into making food, which I'm in the habit of consuming at least once a day, and actually can do a lot of things. Pioneers are breaking out on it. People are doing stuff. But we've got to coordinate this movement much more, and I want to encourage you guys to think about Zero Waste City. So this one initiative I'm particularly excited about has a lot of potential, and people are doing it. Austin, San Francisco, San Antonio, and Seattle have a zero waste plan and are moving out on it. San Francisco has reduced its waste by almost 80% and produced jobs in the process. The best thing about zero waste initiatives is the great jobs they create and the revenue. All this while reducing waste that leads to climate emissions, landfills, poor air quality, and unsustainable resource use. Let's just talk about recyclables for a moment. And we're talking about zero waste cities. In my state of Minnesota, more than $217 million worth of recyclable materials, like plastic, metal, and glass are thrown away every year. 217 million thrown away. If we could capture that, we could channel that money back into the economy. But we've got to figure out how to do it. Minds need to focus their attention on how do we do the sorting, how do we do the work that we have to do to get this material back into productive use. Not only is this a loss of revenue, it's a loss of employment opportunity. And by expanding and simplifying recycling programs around the country, we can create thousands of jobs, generate revenue, and cut down on waste disposal methods that add to our climate problems. Now, composting is a big deal. And there's a city in my state of Minnesota called Hutchinson, Minnesota. They collect all of their food waste, and they convert it, send it back to the farm. States and cities all over this country need to be thinking about how they do that. Households and businesses around the country also dispose of compostable materials such as unwanted food, kitchen wraps, yard waste like leaves and lawn clippings. There is a whole new industry here that has not really even been realized. People to collect it, people to sort it, people to manage it, people to process it. This is a job thing. San Francisco has a citywide curbside compost pickup along with educational campaigns, more workers, because you need to teach folk, right? That teach residents and cannot be composted. So it helps actually educate people to live in harmony with their environment while putting people to work. Then this waste is made into high nutrient compost and sold to local farms and vineyards as sustainable alternative to chemical fertilizers. Think about how this movement could loop with urban farming projects and the whole food movement. The opportunity for growth and creativity is huge, and it needs to be developed and built out and strengthened. These initiatives can begin on a small scale, using local community waste to supply compost to community gardens, helping to deliver healthy food to schools, food shelters, and low-income communities, or they can be sized up as a city, statewide efforts employing thousands, supplying larger farms, creating a sustainable loop from food to compost to farms and back to food again. It's going to take a lot of thinking, it's going to take a lot of work, but there are people already doing it. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, yeah, Keith, that's all right, but we know who does all this composting and recycling. It's the folks who live on the nice side of town. I know you're thinking that. She said, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let me tell you an interesting thing in my own city of Minneapolis. There is a neighborhood called Linden Hills, and y'all, who's from Minneapolis? Y'all know Linden Hills is like the nice part of town, right? What we did is we went to the north side where I live, which is thought of as, the hood, and we got folks together in a room to talk about how we do curbside composting. This group has been meeting for several weeks now, sharing information, and we're going to stand up a program on the north side for curbside recycling. And we talk about people, whether in north side with this high unemployment, the folks are excited because this is jobs for us. Plus, it'll help our community gardens. What I'm saying is this has the opportunity to build community if we have the courage to bring people from different parts of town together to share information. But it takes leadership, and it takes agency, and it takes courage. And the first meeting's going to be tense because some folks are going to say, yeah, these folks on the other side of town get everything and we don't get much. And then those same folks will say, oh, well, we worked for this and thought of it ourselves. Why don't you do the same? So we go into this blame-shame loop. But if we if we have enlightened leadership that believes in individual dignity and when we are really one city, not just the good part of town and the other side of the tracks, you can make these things really work. But you've got to be deliberate, you've got to be thoughtful, and you've got to stick to it, and you can't back down, and you can't quit because you get one bad meeting. You know what I mean? Can't quit because you got one bad meeting, and you can't take any excuses. And what we found out is that the folks who live on the nice side of town, they don't like the existence of a ghetto in their midst. They just don't know what to do about it. Here's what to do about it. Engage, unite, connect, recycle, compost, reuse, repair together. So let me just say this. we've got to be creative. We've got to recreate the world that we live in. We've got to get out of this world where we just throw stuff away and we put it in a landfill. We're literally throwing money away. And this zero waste city movement has the potential not only to put people to work, not only to help us live in harmony with the world we live in, not only to recapture waste and not fill up the landfills and to stop emissions, but truly to build and unite community on a local level. Because at the end of the day, if we're connected and unified and working together, there is absolutely nothing we can't do. So let me just say this. There's other issues on the table too, and I need to mention them. This is sort of not a side issue, certainly a central issue. It's not connected to the zero waste city, but I have to mention it to you. Over the weekend, the Progressive Caucus had a clutch in Philadelphia. It was very productive. And one of the things we spent a lot of time talking about is something called the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We are going to defeat the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We see no reason why the Congress should abdicate its right to amend bills by giving the president trade promotion authority. If I were to show you a graph, and I wish I was prepared to show you that graph, from 1994 till now, you would see ever increasing trade deficits. Year after year, they're bigger than the other. One year, like in 2008, 2009, it dips down. Well, the whole world economy dipped down. But as soon as, you know, the rich guys got their act together and got bailed out, the trade deficit started going right back up. These trade deficits translate directly into job loss in America. But not only that, we have trade deficits with 6 out of the 11 countries that's supposed to be party to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So if it's bad now, it will only get worse. They told us NAFTA was going to be a huge job deal for us. How'd that work out? Oh, we only lost about 650,000 jobs since then. We can't do this to ourselves. We won't do this to ourselves. And you cannot tell me you're concerned about income inequality and push these bad trade deals at the same time. It's like saying go up and sit down at once. Cannot be done. Now, there are a whole lot of reasons to stand up for these this Trans-Pacific Partnership and Trade Promotion Authority. And I'm telling you, it is the worst trade deal you never heard of. Now, how many of you all in your communities still have a lot of folks who don't even know what TPP is? Raise your hand. You know what it is, but how many folks who in your communities don't really know what it is? A lot of hands out there. You should take it on as your personal mission to end that ignorance. We need forums in the community. We need talk-ins. We need tweets. We need Facebooks. We need to get our faith communities talking about these bad trade deals. We've got to organize against it. We need a broad coalition from the environmental community, labor community, human rights community, LGBT community, folks who need to get medicine. We need people who care about American sovereignty. We need to find if there's a right-left coalition that can be built to stop these things, and we need to stop it. But I'm telling you now, as bad as it is and as much energy as there is against it, we already have over 100 people in Congress who signed letters to say we do not want to waive our trade promotion authority, and we're fighting it in the Congress now. We know that once they get this thing tightened up, they're going to come in strong, and they're going to accuse us of being protectionist. They're going to say we're anti-trade. Both things are false. Trade is reality. But you got good trade, and you got bad trade. And this thing is bad trade. Now, you know, one of the things that lets you know it's not good is they don't want to let us see it. If it's so good, let me see it. You know it's bad if they're like this. Oh, it's great. It's great. You're going to love it. Here, check it out. Now you know that's a bad deal then. You know it's a bad deal then. But we're fighting it in the Progressive Caucus and in Congress, and you're fighting it out there, but all of us need to redouble our efforts, because if the American people say no, then the answer on this thing is going to be no. And they told us South Korea was going to be a good trade deal. We got nothing but trade deficits with South Korea. They told us Colombia was going to be a good trade deal. And you know what? The Colombian people are coming up here saying, man, they're not abiding by their agreements. They're still abusing human rights. Being a labor leader is dangerous, and you can very well be killed, and has happened still. And we cannot go by these bad trade deals. You know, free trade with free people, fair trade is got to be the way we do business. So today I just want to say thank you to the Blue Green Alliance. We have a moment where we can turn this whole thing around. We've got to unite. We've got to connect. We got to fight back. We got to have grit and determination. People are so ready for another direction in America. And whether it is trade, fighting bad trade deals, or zero-waste cities, or no matter how you can win, you get in where you can fit in, and we're going to win this thing. You guys take care. God bless. Thank you very much.